Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com. Remember, the opinion you should always follow should be your own. Just consider my take to be a second opinion. Let's talk about this weekend's most dangerous fight. How dangerous? The casinos have this fight as an even money fight. Neither fighter is favored. How dangerous is this? One fighter's father used to be the manager of the other fighter, and they fought 3 times in the amateurs. They're familiar. This fight's not going to start in round 1. It's going to start in round 13. How dangerous is this fight? One fighter is much younger than the other one. One guy's in his mid-20s. The other is in his early 30s. They are both unbeaten. Someone's O has got to go. I'm talking about the fight between undefeated former Mexican Olympian Abner and his opponent Yonnhy Perez. Mares beat Perez 2 out of 3 matches in the amateurs. Mares' father used to be Perez's manager. These two guys used to live in the same house. These two guys have sparred together. These two guys know each other, right? They're both also unbeaten. Somebody is going to lose this fight. And Maris is younger. Maris has the superior hand speed. He's a little bit faster than Yonnhy Perez. Maris seems to have more athletic potential. Now, all of that said, knowing that this is a very high-risk fight where the casino doesn't even know who's going to win, right? And this is unlike the Marquez-Vasquez fight where Marquez is favored by the casinos in that one. Here, you don't even have that, right? Given all of that, let me just say, boxing is a very complex sport, in my opinion, and for the same reasons why Bernard Hopkins and Vernon Forrest were very successful in their careers. That's the same reason why I'm taking Yonnhy Perez in this fight. I know it doesn't make sense, but understand. Let's talk about some variables other than foot speed and hand speed that need to be considered. First, volume. Perez throws the higher volume. He's the busier fighter. Let's talk length. Not just height, but how the fighter uses that height. Length plus a pretty good jab can neutralize superior speed. We saw that in Vernon Forrest's masterpiece, especially the first fight, against a much faster Sugar Shane Mosley. We've also seen this in many of Bernard Hopkins' fights, especially his fight against a young Glenn Johnson, right? If you are tall, and if you know how to use length, and if you can shoot a pretty good jab, and if you have defensive skills, then you can dictate the fight and break the rhythm of your faster opponent, right? In the heavyweight division right now, we've seen this repeatedly with Vitaly Klitschko, who's not just tall, but he fights tall. He fights taller than his brother. In this fight, Yonnhy Perez is the taller fighter. He has the superior jab. I believe that he's going to be able to neutralize Abner Maris's speed. Understand, this opinion is a controversial one. Let's also talk about their 3 amateur fights. You know, if you're a marathon runner, chances are you're going to lose a 100-meter race, right? You're going to lose a mile race because you're geared to go more than 26 miles, not 1 mile or 100 meters. Yonnhy Perez's brilliance, his decided edge in stamina, won't start to assert itself until the 6th round, right? Amateur fights are shorter than that. The amateur fights were close. Yonnhy Perez barely lost the two fights that he lost. More importantly, I believe that you can throw out those amateur fights because even the day of those amateur fights, we quite frankly don't know what would have happened if those fights had gone into the 8th, ninth, 10th rounds, as I suspect this fight's going to. I believe the longer this fight goes on, the more the stamina edge that Yonnhy Perez has is going to start to assert itself. The more Abner Maris is going to start to wilt, the more desperate he's going to become. And of course, when you're desperate against a fighter who has a great jab and who has superior volume and who knows how to use length, then you're up the creek without a paddle. Last week, we saw a different fight between underdog Michael Casitas and favorite Brian Mitchell. And while Mitchell was unbeaten at that time, they asked Casitas why he thought he was going to win. And I'm going to paraphrase what he said. He said, I've been in fights where after 6 rounds, I've had blood on my face with 6 more rounds to go. He hasn't. Now, Yonnhy Perez, his last 2 fights were classic. Against Msbuza in South Africa and against Joseph Agbeko, the same Joseph Agbeko, who beat Vic Darchinyan. Now, those fights, the first fight, Perez was able to win by TKO in the other guy's country in the 12th round. The Agbeko fight, which is a classic, look it up on YouTube, Perez was able to go all 12 rounds and win that fight, taking Agbeko's title. Now, my point to you is Perez is at the top of his game, having fought 2 of the most brutal fights any guy at 118 pounds can fight. Abner Maris hasn't fought that level of competition, right? Perez is ready to go to war for 12 rounds. We don't know if Abner Maris is, right? We don't know if he's had blood on his face with a need to go into a 10th round where he's tired and exhausted, an 11th round, a 12th round. Yes, he has gone 10 rounds before, but not against Joseph Agbeko. Yonnhy Perez has. I believe that gives Perez a advantage in this fight. We know he has been in wars. We know how he has dealt with the wars. Let me also point out, too, that I believe there are other issues that must be considered. Nacho Beristain, one of boxing's elite trainers, used to be the trainer for Abner Maris. He had a dispute with Abner Maris's management. He's no longer the trainer. Maris has a different corner since coming back from detached retina surgery, the same surgery that Vasquez had, right? My point to you is Yonnhy Perez doesn't have this kind of drama in his corner, right? His corner has been with him for a long time. He's not coming back from a detached retina. In fact, he's coming off of the most impressive win in his career. So this is a toss-up fight. Take out a coin out of your pocket, toss it. Heads, pick one guy, tails, pick the other. Just know my choice in this fight, and it's a close fight. It's only for risk takers. My choice in this fight is Yonnhy Perez. I think Perez takes this fight. I think this is a seasoned veteran, more experienced veteran, healthier veteran, going up against a young lion who is going to be awfully hard to defang in the early rounds, but once this fight hits the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th rounds, then you're going to see Yonnhy Perez start to pull away, just like Vernon Forrest did against Sugar Shane, just like Bernard Hopkins has done many times in his career. Let me know your thoughts. Leave them for me here on YouTube. And as I always say, if I'm wrong, punish me in the ratings here on YouTube. But if I'm right, give me a thumbs up or 5 stars.